hope you all are doing well. So actually we are a group of people coming up with topics related to management studies and engineering studies and also of various other domains. So in this video we are trying to cover a very simple as well as a very important topic relevant to management as well as engineering studies. So yeah, that is queuing, as I have written here. So I guess many of us has come across this topic under the subject operation research, either be in management or in engineering. So we are trying to give an overview of what queuing is and what are the elements under queuing and what are the key processes including consumer behavior and various other factors. So the basic idea is that the number of service centers is quite less as compared to customers waiting in the service centers. So then there is no other option than to wait in a queue, because that is the only civilized way of getting a service, and that too without indulging in any fights or without indulging in any conflicts. So as you can see, I have drawn a diagram to make you understand the same. So I have taken 4 examples: a hospital, a fast food, a car servicing center, a railway reservation counter. You can see people are waiting or maintaining queue to get their services accordingly. But this concept too has a drawback. So what is the drawback? And we will discuss about the drawback. The drawback is that if a customer is waiting in a queue and is not getting the service, so this concept is boring and is not expected by the customer. So this will directly impact the economy of the organization. Yeah, so this concept will directly impact on the economy of the organization. And how? We will also see how. To answer this, the customer always thinks of alternative, that is, this alternative is what? That is other service center where they will get quick service. The same service will be provided in a short amount of time. So the customer will move from this organization, the first organization, to the second organization. And when this will happen, when the customer will move from the first organization to the second organization, then this process will cause loss of the first organization. That is how it directly impacts on the economy of the first organization. So now that we know the introduction, we can move on to the objectives. So what is the objective of queuing theory? As you can see here, I have written basic objective of queuing is eliminating the waiting time. So the main objective will be to eliminate the waiting line. So how do we eliminate the waiting line? Now we have 2 approaches to reduce the waiting line. That is, the first is increase in the number of service centers. Either we will have to increase the number of service centers, that is, let us take the example of the hospital. If we take the example of the hospital, then if previously there were 1 reception counter, then we will have to increase the reception centers, maybe 2, 3 or likewise, and that is the first case. And Secondly, it says increase in other elements. For example, more manpower, quick service, multiple service station, etc. So yeah, more manpower means if we are not increasing the reception centers in a hospital, then what we will have to do is that in the same reception counter, we will have to indulge more manpower. That is, we will have to indulge more people to serve as receptionist so that people get services quickly. Okay, now we have the cost. Two costs are involved in any service which involves queuing of customers. So while we go for the cost, we have the first one is cost of providing the service. That is, a company has to invest some amount of their capital in providing a particular service to the customer, since they cannot provide the service for free. So this we can explain with the help of an example. That is, in case of a car servicing center, if we see, a company has to invest some amount of money in their laborers and other machinery equipments to deliver their services to the customers. So that is the cost they are talking about in the first statement. And okay, let us take one more example. That is, in case of a fast food corner, if we see, they have to incur the cost of buying the raw materials and other materials and provide the prepared food to the customers. So these are the costs which the companies or an organization has to incur initially for this process. So the next one is which is highlighted is cost involved because of delay in providing the service. That is, this is the cost which an organization has to bear because of the delay created in providing the service. That is, for example, yeah, we can explain this point with the help of an example. That is a very common example. Yeah, let us take this example. When we go to a doctor's chamber, we are supposed to wait there for our turn to visit the doctor. Okay, so for this purpose, people are provided with a waiting hall along with other facilities like lights, fans, chairs, and also, in fact, in some places we do find televisions for our entertainment, isn't it? So yeah, this is the cost due to the delay in providing the service. So now discussing about the basic elements of queuing theory. Firstly, we have customers. So customers are regarded as the unit arriving for service at the organization. If we try to depict this with the help of a diagram, it will be something like this. Customer, which we will depict it as unit, and this be the organization, and this be the organization. So customers arriving at the organization for service is termed as unit. These are the units. Then next we have service. So service is for what the customer has come for. Let us take an example. So it may be a train reservation, it may be a fast food order, or it may be a car servicing, whatever. So if we try to depict this in a diagram, so it will be something like this. Here will be the customer, and for what the customer has come for, that is called service. Then service time. So it is the time at which service starts to the point at which service ends. So it will be something like this. The point at which service starts to the point where service ends. So this interval of time is termed as service time. So next we have The service station. So it is the point or place where the service is provided. For example, in a hospital, it would be the reception counter. So if we try to depict this in a diagram, so it will be the place or point. So let us write it as place where the service is provided. The place where service is provided is service station. Then next we have is the waiting time. So this is the time the customer waits before getting the service. So this is the service, the time the customer waits before getting the service. So this time is called waiting time. The next is the system time. So it is the sum of waiting time plus service time. The sum of these two is termed as system time. Next we have is number of customers in the system. So this is equal to the number of customers waiting in the queue plus number of customers getting the service. So number of customers waiting in the queue plus the customers who are getting the service. I hope you are understanding my handwriting. The next that we have is queue length. So it is nothing but the number of customers waiting for service in the queue. And then lastly we have the queue discipline. So it is that pattern according to which the customers are picked up from the queue and they are provided service. So to analyze the queue discipline, we have the following behaviors. The first that we have is the first come first serve. So this is the most commonly used queue discipline, which gives first priority to those units or customers that have come first. So next that we have is the last come first serve. So here units which come last are processed first. So let us take an example. For when we go for purchasing medicines, then we generally purchase those medicines which have manufacturing date latest. So that example suits this condition well. And then next we have is service in random. Here units are selected from the waiting hall in random basis. So there is no well-defined procedure for selection. So in this behavior there is no well-defined procedure for selection. So customers are selected in random for service. So next that we have is priority service. In this discipline, units are first selected on the basis of some priority rule. That's why it is named as priority service. So let us take an example too here, that in case of hospitals, those patients are looked immediately whose condition is critical, and rest of the patients are looked afterwards. So that example suits this condition. And then we have the preemptive service. So in this type, unit with high priority are attended first, even though low priority are already receiving the service. So their service is stopped temporarily and the service is given to the high priority customers. So next we have the non-preemptive priority. So in this case, high priority unit goes ahead in the queue but still have to wait until the service of the current service is not completed. Now proceeding to the consumer behavior, as in the diagram we can see that a person arrives at a particular service station. He joins the queue in a particular queue discipline and then he gets the service and then he departs from the service station. This system is called queuing system. Now we will discuss about three types of customers. Firstly, we have the bulk. So this type of customers get discouraged even before joining the queue, and this may be due to many numbers of customers in the queue. Then nextly we have ranage. So this type of customers leave the queue after joining and do not enter the queue discipline for further service process. So this type of customers can be considered far more patient than this type of customers. Lastly, we have the jockeying. This type of customers who tend to leave the existing queue and shift to a new queue with less customers to get service faster. So this is it for this video. Please watch our next video to learn more concepts of queuing theory, and do press the bell button to receive notifications about our next videos.